Okay, we continue with Webster Tarpley. So we had Senator Joe talking about Israel's business is Israel's business. They can attack anybody they want, none of our affair. And then we had the Saudis saying, for sure, go ahead, have at it, fly right on over if you need to. And then, of course, both governments backpedaled and said, no, that's not what we meant. Those comments were taken out of context and all the usual BS. What's going on?
Obama told Biden, and that's not the policy, right? Biden, of course, is a motor mouth with a mind like a rag bag.
Always have been.
The Israelis have been told no by Obama, by Biden privately, by Panetta, by General Jones, by Admiral Mullen of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. No, 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 no. The Israelis have requested equipment that they would need for this. It's been denied. So, and I think the idea that Iran is a target fundamentally ignores what's going on. Iran is an instrument. Iran is a kamikaze puppet to be used against Russia, against China. Example, if this Musabi ever seized power, I guarantee you one of the first things he would do is cut off oil to China. There's no better way to win the support of the U.S. and the British to say, okay, Chinese, no more oil for you, and certainly no pipeline from Iran across Pakistan into China, because that is the biggest nightmare for the Anglo-Americans. It basically would defeat their entire energy blackmail vis-a-vis China. That's the reason they have to break up Pakistan. So Iran, and this has been Brzezinski's profile for 30 years, right? They bring in Khomeini. Khomeini takes the hostages. This is an integral part of a strategy where the U.S. is continuing to deliver every military technology that the Shah had ordered, and Brzezinski is making it happen. And this is now the policy today. This is why Obama has to play this appeaser and weakling and wimp, and he's feckless and all the rest of it. He's got to hold on to the idea of a negotiation with Iran, because the idea is they want Iran to become a regional enforcer of U.S. and British policy, and above all means anti-Russian and anti-Chinese. And
how successful are they going to be?
Absolutely fundamental.
Well, I'm confused here. The Russians and the Iranians, as far as I know, have a very, if not productive, certainly amenable relationship at this point.
No, let me just stop you right there. I mean, even if there are two layers of this stuff. The most recent layer is the Iranians, I think, are a lot of the government shows a tremendous egotism vis-a-vis the Russians. So that if you ask an Iranian, what do you think about the Bushehr reactor? Now comes a cascade of complaining. Oh, the Russians this, the Russians that. The Russians deny us this. They charge too much. They delay. They stall, and all the rest of it. So there's a lot of bad blood on this.
Well, they did start that reactor in 1976.
Yeah, look, the reactor would have been finished if it hadn't been for Khomeini. That's the dirty secret, right? That Khomeini shut down all of the development projects of the Shah. If they hadn't had Khomeini, if they could have gotten rid of the Shah, fine. But then keep a civilian government. There was this guy called Bakhtiar at the time, or a military dictatorship. Well, why not? They would have had probably 10 or 15 nuclear reactors. They'd have a steel mill. In other words, I was in touch with a guy in Italy, a big civil engineering company. Some of the people who built the Aswan High Dam were building this city, Bandar Abbas, now Bandar Khomeini. And this was all shut down. It was about $150 billion in 1979 terms, so probably 5 times that today, which were completely aborted. And the Revolutionary Guard said, let's take the cooling towers of the nuclear reactors and use them to store grain, like a silo. I mean, it was just an exercise in absolute vandalism. But the problem is, no matter how bad they were, as time has gone on, that has evolved, and now they realize that they can't get along without nuclear energy, which is what everybody in the world can see, except perhaps in this country here that we have. So that's one layer. The other thing is, you got to remember, the Soviet Red Army occupied northern Iran during World War II. The country was partitioned. The British took the south, the Soviets took the north. And when the Soviets come into foreign countries with the Red Army, especially in those days, this was
bad things
not pretty, right? It's going to be abrasive, let's say. They behave badly sometimes. So you can imagine all the cultural friction. So there's a significant pool of resentment, and And remember, you can steer people with these events, and we'll get to that in a minute. What's going on in China right now? That's partly to alienate Iran from China and some other countries too. I just wanted to say though, the perspective now is the U.S. is going to keep up this bid, right? And a lot of the stuff you mentioned is just war in the haggling, because it's sort of carrot and stick, right? The stick is, if you don't make a deal, we'll bomb you. But I don't know who believes that anymore. I think that's basically out the window. Most people now realize that there's no military means to accomplish this. There would at least nothing that the U.S. could undertake. And the Israelis, of course, are reeling from 2 consecutive defeats, right? They were defeated in southern Lebanon. They even politically and strategically defeated in Gaza. They didn't destroy Hamas. So
well, the settlements continue to proliferate, so
sure, and they can kill unlimited numbers, but no matter how many they kill, it's like Hitler bombing London, right? You can kill as many as you want, and you're still defeated, because you can't do the things that would lead to a victory. So again, I think the Israelis are an Anglo-American client state, and they've been told no, and I take it that no will stand. I think it would be a true revolution in world affairs if they struck out on their own. It would also be a failure. I mean, that would be another defeat for them.
Oh, absolutely.
The Russians are putting in some fairly sophisticated anti-aircraft missiles.
Well, theoretically, they shut down the entire Syrian ADF with some electronic countermeasures. That's what I'm told. I wasn't there, but
I don't think so at all. I mean, I think that there's so much around that. I'm not sure when we're going to know exactly what happened, but I don't think they attacked a reactor or anything.
All right, very good. Good coverage of Iran. You want to talk
about... But now, wait, just
in
terms of the future evolution. Now you have Ahmadinejad. Now, Ahmadinejad, his background is military and secret police. So something like Putin, although he's not as smart as Putin, clearly, he's rather foolish in many ways, but he's demagogically accomplished. He campaigns with an attack on corruption. And in Iran, when you say corruption, you have said Rafsanjani. Ayatollah Rafsanjani, the former 2-term president, was the main backer of this Mousavi. He wants to challenge Khamenei, right, the current supreme leader. So he attacks corruption, and then he attacks the U.S. So this explains the 2-to-1 popularity for Ahmadinejad, which I think is true. But now, how could this evolve? I think it evolves towards a military dictatorship where Ahmadinejad basically says to the mullahs, you're out. Your corruption is out. I'm not paying your corruption. And above all, I'm not going to have your morality police go around antagonizing everybody, snooping and harassing women in the streets and all the rest of it. If he does that, he would get, I think, probably some goodwill from the population and go on as, you could call him a kind of Ataturk of our time. I mean, not at the level of Ataturk, but something like that.
I got it. Interesting. All right, we'll pause and continue in just a few minutes with Webster Griffin Tarpley. Do look under his name. Surviving the Cataclysm is his newest book. It is available from progressivepress.com. Be right back.